Yeah, take a bow.
So last time when we last spoke, we were talking about new MC shuttle with the wings up.
Oh yeah,
shuttle with the wings up.
dude.
Shuttle with the wings. Yeah.
Oh my God, attack gumbo. What up?
Assault gumbo, but yeah.
Yeah, good. This is why it's important to have you around.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I found my Star Wars TIE Fighter strategy guide in my bookcase the other day. That thing is seriously like almost 2 full inches thick.
Oh, it's huge. What's that worth now? Probably a shitload.
I don't know, but
I'm checking.
Probably a lot. And now, because this brings us into the first news story that I wanted to go over today. Kotaku has started, it's like a video series, I guess, called Complete in Box recently. Have you seen this?
I saw something about Monkey Island.
Yes, that's what I'm going to talk about. And this, man, just another instance, if I can quote They Might Be Giants, from people stealing back our fucking best ideas, right? This is the kind of shit that, like, god damn, I wish we had fucking done. Because this is such a great thing. What they're doing is going through like old PC games and old games and stuff and going through all the amazing shit that came in the fucking boxes back in the day during the so-called the big box era of PC games. And oh my God, I just watching them, especially this episode of Monkey Island, I watched the whole thing. It was only like 15 minutes. But dude, they had this is something that I'm ashamed to say it, but even I did not know that this was the case. They started with an EGA, not VGA.
Whoa.
EGA version of Monkey Island, the 5 1/4 floppy disk version.
Holy shit.
And I did not know that the original version of the game is the EGA version. Most people think that the VGA version is like the canon one or whatever, and the EGA was just another version of it they made. So people without VGA graphics cards, and that that was the thing back then. Some computers did not have even VGA graphics cards. I mean, they didn't have dedicated graphics cards at all. It was like a microchip.
Right.
But I was one of them that I was under the impression that the VGA was the canonical version. It's not. It was redone in VGA at least a little while after the original release in EGA, and that the VGA version is considered a fucking remaster. Like, I mean, in today's common or modern parlance, the VGA version of Monkey Island would be considered a remaster. That blows my fucking mind.
How different is it?
As far as I can tell, it's pretty much identical, except for the fact that the original graphics that the original artist, Steve Purcell and everybody, that the original graphics that they did were EGA graphics, not VGA.
Wow.
Fucking ungoddamn believable.
When did that game come out? So 16 color version was October 1990. 256 was December 1990. CD-ROM was 1992.
Oh, so it wasn't even that long before they put out the 256 VGA one.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's still crazy. I mean, the only version I ever saw of it, I did have, I did not have the box. Regrettably, I did not have the box and everything for the first Monkey Island. And if you remember, the first one, because developers tried all this crazy shit to try to keep you from just copying.
Oh, this was going to be my next question, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, they tried all this crazy shit. Remember, if you ever played any of the old King's Quest, my first King's Quest was King's Quest 4, The Perils of Rosella. But they came with amazing manuals and little mini booklets and stuff. God, the art was fucking amazing. But in King's Quest 4, for instance, it came with a little storybook. And every time you booted it up, it would ask you a little question like, what is the third word of the 4th paragraph on page 65? And if you didn't have that, or didn't know someone that did have it, you couldn't get into the game. I mean, it was very effective copy protection, at least against people who were, I guess, less motivated than myself. Because even in Monkey Island, do you remember the Dial-A-Pirate?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the game, like, when it booted or when you installed, it would show you, like, the pirate that was made up of different segments or something, and you had to turn the wheels until they aligned?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes. Every time you started the game. And it would say, what year was this pirate born in Antigua or something? And you would have to match the top face with the bottom face on this little wheel. And once you matched it up, there'd be a little window in the wheel where it would show a year. And that's how you would get into the game. And of course, what I did was I took my friends and I took it apart, so it was just the two halves of the two pieces of the wheel. I photocopied it and then cut it out and then used like a, you know, like a little like a paper fastener or something to stick them together.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, but like that was so fucking cool. One of the other things that came in this box that I was watching this Kotaku episode was the LucasArts Adventurer. Do you remember that?
Oh, God, I loved that. I loved getting that. It used to blow my mind, dude.
Yeah. And it was so fucking cool because back then, a lot of people don't know this. Dude, you could not go into a store and buy a PC game. You couldn't.
It was very, very hard to do. There were the stores that actually had the big box games were few and far between, and I was obsessed with them. We had some stores around like CompUSA, Babbage's. Like, Babbage's sold games. I know. I definitely bought my first copy of Day of the Tentacle talkie in a store. That's for sure. Some of those games, though, I absolutely had to get shipped.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like when I saw them in the store with that giant. I mean, that's how I found out about many games as well. Was in store, and obviously LucasArts freaking Adventure. But there'd be games I'd see the box of for ages. There wasn't like an internet where I could look up what they were, so my mind would just think about the box and these screenshots and be like, what is this game actually like? I can't even imagine what it's actually like. Like, I remember actually getting the Dig for the first time after seeing just screenshots where I got a demo of the Dig that was, I want to say it was after you land on maybe it had the Look at the Pretty Weird Lights, Boys and Girls 2, but I'm pretty sure it was just when you get onto the planet. God, what's the planet's name?
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed I don't remember.
Oh, it's like something with a C and an X.
Oh, yeah. It's like Hokkaido or something. Kokokto? Something?
Something like that. And I think that's I think that's the name of the planet, not the asteroid, because they both have names. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure it was from when they land on the planet to when Brink falls down the hole. So
I think that you're right.
The entire top section where you go spot to spot and find the bones and see the ghost and all this shit, and oh my God, man, yeah. So anyway, yes, LucasArts Adventure screenshots, building, as opposed to now, where like forget about the fact when games are coming out, there's a massive trailer. If the game is out, I can do a let's play and watch the entire fucking game get played if I want to.
The whole fucking thing.
That's crazy.
It was
the whole
Cocytus.
game I can watch get played.
It was Cocytus.
Cocytus.
Yeah, Cocytus, also known as the lowest circle of hell in Dante's Inferno.
Right.
But
what was the asteroid's name?
It would take. I would have to do a little more Google food to find that out, and I'm not interested in doing that. I think it was like Armas, R-A-R something. No, now I do want to know. Hold on.
Anus. Anus. God, the Dig is so good.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, what I was saying was, to be more specific, yes, you could find some PC games in stores, but those stores were very few, like you said, very few and far between. If there wasn't a CompUSA or like a Software Etc. or like an Egghead,
oh my God,
what was it called? Eggheads?
Egghead.
Yeah.
Egghead.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I was obsessed with Egghead.
But like those stores were few and far between. Like we grew up right outside of New York City, so we were lucky that there was. I think it was a Software Etc. that was right over the border in like Danbury or something. So I think there was this. Oh yes, the asteroid is named Attila after Attila the Hun.
Attila.
Yes.
Attila.
Fuck yeah, fuck yeah. So yeah, so if you weren't lucky enough to have one of these stores around, and like, to be quite honest, maybe you were lucky if there was one within 50 miles of you. You were lucky.
Right.
And so if you didn't have one of those stores, the only way to get those games were by calling an 800 number and fucking ordering them. I remember because my grandmother I had given her the LucasArts 800 number, And the Sierra one too, so I could get my new Space Quest and shit. But that's how she would order these games. In the Adventure, it had, not only could you go and see like the new LucasArts games in it, but there would also be a Sam and Max comic in it by Steve Purcell.
Right.
And this is something that I had forgotten. Not only that, but you could order posters and things like leather flight jackets and shit from it.
Oh my God, I can't remember that. So I was probably like, well, it's not a game, and I'm a little kid, so this won't fit me, so fuck it.
I had a Sam and Max t-shirt in 8th grade that I ordered from that shit.
Fucking cool.
And a pin, too. And, dude, they were saying it in this Kotaku episode of Complete in Box that I was watching, that a lot of the stuff that you were able to order from those adventures is worth, like, over $200 fucking now. Like, those posters and shit. Fucking crazy. I'm pretty sure I still have a lot of them, but I've really been considering starting an old PC game collection of just like of the actual boxes and stuff. I probably still have my Space Quest 5 box. I probably still have like my Space Quest 2 box. So I have a few of them, but I wanted to go on eBay and start looking up prices for complete in box versions of those classic PC games.
They were beautiful.
Before they went to the
small boxes. When did that change happen?
I think somewhere around the time when they started switching to CD-ROMs, or maybe a little after, because the whole big box term, if I'm not mistaken, came from when they really started selling PC games more in stores. And they noticed that the bigger the box, the bigger the larger chance it had of getting people's attention. So they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then something occurred that when they just started going the opposite direction, but I don't really know.
Well, I mean, it's more, they could stock more games. That's really what it comes down to. But I remember buying Dark Forces.
Oh my God,
and
Dark Forces.
Duke Nukem 3D and Rebel Assault 2 were all CDs and they were big box. I know for certain. The Dig, definitely CD, definitely a big box. Shit. I'm trying to think of other games that I bought. Oh, dude, Doom 2. I got Doom 2 on CD. That was big box.
Oh shit!
When did Doom 2 come out? Because that's definitely CDs, in box, in games.
Well, Doom 1, or the original Doom, I'm pretty sure was 1993. So maybe Doom 2 was 95.
Right. Dude, the fucking Day of the Tentacle Talkie version I bought on a CD, and that was a big box.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that was...
Dude, go look at the link that I just sent you. It's the entire... It's in Skype. It's the entire Space Quest 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all complete in box. Bidding starts at 78 cents.
Wow.
Here is a version of Space Quest 5 sealed for $300.
Holy shit. I mean, that's almost less than I would think, but there's probably less of a market for it because it's just like, it's more niche.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's really niche.
It's definitely it's as niche as it is rare, I think I would say.
Yeah, I mean, because those games just have never had any sort of renaissance. I mean, other than
that's a very interesting point.
Telltale. Telltale did it, but only Telltale has done it, and they leaned way more, I feel, on the story aspect than the like, hey, I can't use these two things together aspect.
I can't use these two things together.
You know, when you have 500, you have fucking Jesse James' hand in a jar and a fucking crank grabber, and you have to, you know, and you need to use all these things together to fucking, you have the magnet from World of Fish. And like,
yeah. Or when you're in the tunnel of love, you have to use the flashlight on the fuse box in order to short it out. How does that even make any sense? It doesn't at all.
Use the flashlight on the fuse box, then don't you use Max with the fuse box then to stop it?
Oh yes, you're right, because you dip Max in the water and then short out the fuse box by slamming wet Max into it.
That's so
God, what
fucking genius.
Fucking amazing game. Did you ever play the new episodes that Telltale made?
No.
I tried and I couldn't get into it. I don't know if that's like my fault, like I just wasn't in a place at that time to be able to get into it, or maybe it's because I was trying to play it on my phone. I don't know, but it just didn't.
Well, that's definitely
it didn't do it.
Deal playing on the phone.
Yeah,
but like it's also not quite the same as that beautiful 2D hand-drawn art.
Yes.
And the fucking MIDI music.
Yeah,
and like,
that's another thing. There's so much just minutia of it that all comes together to make that unbelievable package. And like, I'm not knocking Telltale's artists. They did a good job. Like, Sam and Max really do. They look like Sam and Max. And I mean, that's not just a throwaway compliment. That's really difficult to do.
No, that's a big deal because their designs are so iconic.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, Steve Purcell is one of the greatest to ever fucking do it, in my opinion.
Fucking genius.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, you know, that's not that's not a throwaway compliment. The Telltale's artists really did a good job. But no matter, in my opinion, and I would imagine you probably would agree with me, that no matter how good your 3D art is, it's not the fucking same thing as the 2D hand-done pixel art.
Absolutely.
It fucking is not. And I mean, one only needs to look at like early examples of polygon games on like a PlayStation. While granted, there are some of those games that have a genius all to themselves, like Vagrant Story or Chrono Cross or Silent Hill, Resident Evil 2. Like, there's something about the shit polygons that really adds something to those. But then, in my opinion, you look at like the original Tomb Raider or like Virtua Fighter, and there's no way those games look as good as 2D art games. You know, sprites age amazingly well, and 3D art, no matter how good it is, just simply does not.
No, it's true. I actually think the Dead Zone in 3D art came later, because I still think that the PlayStation and to a Saturn and to a significantly lesser degree N64 still look fucking awesome, but I feel the next gen PS2, Xbox, and for the most part GameCube had this gross washed out look. And then when HD came around, things started to pick up again, and now we're in an era where games actually look really fucking good. And like, we're at this point, you know, where we've reached critical mass, where games, they get better looking, but the games that look amazing today, I highly doubt we're going to be like, that looks dated. I see some of these, well, I mean, I can't say that, because I think we'll end up being like, it'll be things like, you know, I watched this video of, I guess it was Far Cry 5 probably, of some dude shooting a turkey with like a flamethrower, and we'll probably be like, oh yeah, look at how the feathers don't actually burn realistically, or some shit like that. You know?
I would probably agree with that. I also started playing Far Cry recently, Far Cry 5, and while I'm not really a big fan of those games, except for Blood Dragon, which is an amazing cyberpunk fucking shoot 'em up, it's fantastic. Although a lot of people don't really like that, but fuck them, I love that shit. So I'm not a huge Far Cry fan. It's basically the whole Ubisoft formulaic open world shit where, get up the towers or whatever to explore the fucking map, and then we're gonna bukkake your world map with a whole bunch of meaningless shit to do, and like, you know, it just...
No, I totally feel you.
Yeah, it just doesn't do it for me. But Far Cry 5, I have been having fun with. I'm not quite sure why. But to your point, it's hard to say, because in 2015, even 10 years maybe, it's possible graphics technology will be at such a point where we will look back at anything that doesn't just look like real life and say, oh my God, look how laughable this is.
Right. That's a good point. I mean, that's a good point. It's going to really need some major changes in graphics, though, because I don't think there was ever a time when we said that. We were always like, wow, the graphics are great, but they can get better. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, and even 4, I was like, oh my God, this looks absolutely fucking incredible. But I don't think that we were like, it can't get better than this.
Oh, whereas no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We definitely were aware it could be better. We really
have maxed out with that HD. Like, even HD to 4K, while it's definitely a noticeable difference, it's not nearly the leap as like PS2 to PS3, PS3 to PS4. I mean, some of these high-def games just look so fucking stupid good. And like the number of particles and the lack of slowdown, they just look fucking incredible. I mean, and that's coming from me, where I don't even really like 3D graphics. The fact that it looks so much more photorealistic is just more enjoyable for me than like this washed out Xbox One trash.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I have a 4K monitor that I do play some games in 4K. Like I play WoW in 4K. I'm able to run Far Cry 5 in 4K. And I will say that going from 1080p to 4K on my PC, 1080p looks like blurry garbage compared to 4K.
Wow, really?
Oh my God. I can't even look at... I have to run shit in 1440p to even be able to look at it. after looking at shit in 4K.
Holy shit!
It's
WoW
really...
and WoW will output in 4K.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I bet that looks
I mean,
amazing.
like, keep in mind, that's the resolution of it. It's not, we're not getting 4K textures. It's just rendering the polys and everything in 4K.
Right, which is still big.
But, yeah, I mean, it still looks unbelievably sharp. I mean, like, for something like Far Cry 5, where I'm pretty sure there's 4K textures in that, and that, dude, sometimes Far Cry 5, at least to my primitive eyes, that shit almost looks photorealistic. There's sometimes while I've been playing it that I stop and look around, and I'm like, holy fucking God. It's really, really astounding. But I think to your original point, yes, the PlayStation 1 was probably not the pinnacle of shit 3D. I would almost put that on PS2.
Yeah, well, that whole generation.
Yeah.
Because, like, those games, there's some gems like MGS2, but, like, for the most part, the games on that generation of systems looks like shit, and I think a lot of that has to do with how cheap and easy it was to develop them. I think it was also it wasn't just a matter of the tech; it was a matter of the talent pool. Whereas now it requires a massive fucking budget to make a decent game, and the bar has been raised so high,
like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds, insane, like the cost of a fucking movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
like a serious movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So the budgets are much higher. I mean, and also I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that most games are coded and developed in a way that's very, very similar to just how one would develop for a PC, right? It's not like where they had to develop shit for that whack-ass PS2 specific chipset or whatever it was, you know, where they had to figure out how to code for this weird little bit of hardware. So the learning curve is probably not nearly as steep. And also, I think just being able to output an HD period helped a lot. Because while there definitely is a lot of gorgeous PS2 games, even for when looking at them now, like many of the Metal Gear Solid games still objectively look very good. You know? Like, look at Jet Grind Radio, the original on the fucking Dreamcast. Yeah. That shit looks fucking amazing even right now.
No, Dreamcast had the Naomi board.
Dreamcast did overall look so much sharper. I mean, for lack of a better word, than a lot of other systems around that time.
And Dreamcast has that fucking Naomi board shit where everything looks extremely sharp and crispy, and the textures, everything is just the models are just so compared to PlayStation, where all the textures were very muddled. The models are really sharp and crisp, and the textures are bright and clean.
Yeah, it really. I mean, that's just another sad example of superior hardware losing out. Like losing the battle against something that's technically inferior. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Dreamcast hardware was better than a PS2 overall. It
absolutely was. And let's not forget about the fact that the Dreamcast had a fucking Ethernet port built in. Online play from the word go, although I think the first game that had actual online was Choo Choo Rocket.
Choo Choo Rocket.
Also, that Nico.
So great.
Let's not forget about the VMU.
Oh yeah, that you could have like
a screen that like a primitive Wii U almost, where it could display information, and then you could take that shit with you and play mini games on the go.
Weren't there like a little Tamagotchi? Sucked. Wasn't there a Tamagotchi for one of those things?
Yes, the Chow mini game.
Chow mini game, yeah.
From fucking Sonic Adventure was a Tamagotchi. And you would raise the Chow on the go, put it back in the game, and I think it would give you like maybe the Chow's just like they raced or something, but you could get bonus stats for it by doing well in the mini game, and then put it back into Sonic Adventure, and that was mind blowing.
Oh god, that was so impressive. The first time I played,
genius.
Dude, I rented a Dreamcast from fucking Blockbuster to play Resident Evil Code Veronica because they didn't put out that version of it on PS2 for a while after it originally came out. It was exclusive. It was exclusive to the fucking Dreamcast, which sounds ridiculous, but
it sounds ridiculous. I want to find out what the difference in time was because it was very, very long. Same with RE4.
And the GameCube.
There's a big time difference.
I don't know if it was as big, but it definitely was a GameCube exclusive for a little while. It definitely was.
But what the hell? Okay. February 3rd, 2000 was Code Veronica, period. And what about the PS2 version? Hold on, let's see. Oh, Code Veronica X.
Yeah, that was the special edition that they put on PS2.
Code Veronica X was released. Oh, okay. Just as 2001, so it wasn't that far.
Well, long enough for my.
A lot longer.
It was way long enough for my insane Resident Evil fanboy self to think that renting a Dreamcast from a Blockbuster was a reasonable alternative for to waiting for another version of it.
I can't believe they used to just rent super expensive hardware. Did you have to put a deposit down? I don't remember.
Yeah, I did that but it was not a lot of money. I don't know if you remember, but what we did with I don't even think. Oh, I guess it's Blockbuster. Who the fuck cares? What we did was we took a Dreamcast that I had rented and we replaced the inside of it with the internals of a broken Dreamcast that one of my friends had, and then returned that.
Wow, that is quite a heist.
God, but I mean, that's how crazy we were about to be able to play Code Veronica, because we couldn't even fathom the idea that we would have to stop playing it at some point. But, oh, you know what? I don't even think the PS2 was out when Code Veronica first dropped.
No, you're right. No, February 2000, it was definitely not out. PS2 came out in October 2000.
Oh, shit. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, there's yet another reason why I figured I had to fucking rent that goddamn thing. But, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if it had superior hardware. It certainly seems as though it did. But one of the main things that I always remember about the PS2 and, like, the original Xbox was just how fucking blurry they looked.
Yeah.
They look so fucking blurry. And granted, if you use an S-video cable, which seems like archaic by today's standards, but if you use like an S-video cable or actual component cables, they would look a lot better. But there was nothing like HDMI or something. Most people, let's face it, were playing a PS2 with composite cables, a red and white cable, and then that were an RCA format with that yellow video. And that's how most people were hooking those fucking things up.
Most TVs didn't have a composite in, because we weren't getting TVs every couple of years. We weren't replacing our TVs with these bomb TVs, all these inputs. It was like the TV that's been sitting around at the house for fucking years. It was like, shit, my mom's got this dusty-ass TV in her basement. I'm gonna take it and put it in my room so I can play fucking Nintendo. Yeah,
that's a good point. Like, every couple years, we're buying new flatties and shit like that. Man, I played video games on the same busted-ass ancient CRT with fake plastic wood paneling on the fucking side of it and actual dials instead of buttons for fucking years. It wasn't until I was much older that my parents finally got rid of that thing and got a new TV. And even that new TV was just a more modern CRT. It had like 2 fucking inputs, and one of those was an RF input.
Yeah, TVs had to be super fucking expensive back then. And plus the size, and also like, why are you going to upgrade? I mean, people would be like, oh, I'm upgrading to a big screen, but it wasn't like there were new features, and it wasn't broadcasting tech wasn't upgrading. I mean, now everything's broadcast in HD. And even like, you will not see anything anywhere without an HDMI input. Like the shitty little select line, whatever this is, like a 24-inch TV that comes with the room here. Of course, it's got an HDMI in it, and it's all hyper HD. You know, it's just like, even this crappy little TV looks miles better than what I consider to be like a top of the line CRT in terms of like broadcasting. Of course, that's not the case when you're playing like something that's meant to be played on a CRT, like anything Super Nintendo or whatever, but that's an exception. That's an exception. For the most part, TV technology is just so accessible to get a TV that looks fucking amazing. Dude, I'm sure you could pick up an HD flatty for $100.
Oh, easily.
A small one.
Dude, we picked up a 43-inch flat screen for downstairs the other day. It was a 43-inch 4K TV, and it was $200.
That's insanity. Are you serious?
Yeah, absolute insanity. The flat screen, the 4K TV that I have in my room connected to my PC is 50 inches. It's a 50-inch smart TV, 4K UHD, and that cost me $340.
Holy shit. There's no way. Dude, a 55-inch TV, like 20 years ago,
there's like $4,000 probably.
It had to cost like $4,000
and probably would have needed to be moved in with like a crane and like a team of dudes.
Right, you would need a team of dudes. Now, I don't think you could get a 55-inch CRT. I think it would have to be a projection TV.
Yeah, it was one of those weird rear
CRTs
projection. No, they did not. I would almost guarantee they did not. It would have had to be one of those rear projection ones that you probably had some rich friends when you were a kid that you went over to their house and they had one of those things, and like the plastic on the front had those weird horizontal ridges in it. I would always stick my fingernails in them and be like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah, no, they were awesome. Okay, the biggest CRT that was ever released to the public was 40 inches and weighed 750 pounds.
Oh my fucking God.
So, like, you literally would be killed if it fell on you.
You would be killed dead.
Killed. It would take your life. If a 40-inch flatty fell on me, like, I mean,
you might not even wake up. You might not even wake up if a 40-inch flatty fell on you.
Right. It's totally true. I mean, like, yeah. So, okay, TV technology changing is nuts. So some people are saying, some people are like 36-inch, but yeah, it looks like 40 inches. And Sony introduced a 40-inch CRT around 2002, which there were limited prototypes of 45 inches in the lab, but they were so heavy that they couldn't be supported by modern, by most people's stands or anything.
By the floor in most people's living rooms, fucking probably.
It would seriously fall through the floor like a safe in a cartoon.
That's the perfect image.
For real. Yeah. So, I mean, that definitely, the change in technology has been a huge boon on graphics because, like, people wouldn't upgrade their TVs. So, like, what was the point? I mean, you would make graphics for the tech, whereas now everybody's got an HD TV. These things they do come standard with an HDMI cable now, right? Do they?
Oh, yeah, dude.
You get a PS4. Does it come with an HDMI cable?
Oh, absolutely. This is how you know, dude. You buy a Nintendo Switch. That fucking thing comes with an HDMI cable.
Right.
If Nintendo is shipping their fucking systems with an HDMI cable, you know that the standard has finally fucking switched.
That's the standard. Because my PS3 definitely did not. Because actually, I remember
I had component cables
when I got my PS3, and I was with you when I saw HD game graphics for the first time when I put in Bioshock on my old 40-inch Magnavox flatty, and I remember like howling in that room, like watching the water with the plane crash, which by today's standards, I mean, it still looks good, but it's like very, very dated in terms of water effects.
It's very dated, but dude, I played through the Bioshock remastered version on PC within the last couple months. Dude, it still fucking holds up. It's a shame that the story and everything, and like what happened later, like in the later half of that game, that just went to total shit.
Such a turd.
Yeah, oh god. Like the beginning of it was so fucking amazing. The story had such mystery and wonder and promise in it. And then before you knew it, it devolved into a fucking brainless corridor shooter with an unbelievably basic fucking antagonist and a stupid cookie cutter boss battle at the end. Dude, we saved a bunch of hits of acid. Me and the people I was playing it with for the first time that shit came out. And when we fucking started playing that, we were blown away. That is until we died for the first time, and we were just resurrected immediately with no penalty in a fucking Vita chamber right next to where we had died. And that was the beginning of the end for us. We were so crushed, because it's a basic rule of thumb. There can be no thrill of victory without the possibility of failure. And hence, there's no experience of danger or any sort of agency to anything if you know there's no consequence for fucking dying.
Right.
And like that right there robbed the entire game of any sort of real sense of immersion that we felt. And that was so sad. And because we were on acid, they say, well, sometimes you got to create your own fun. What we did, I think it's maybe the first time you get into Fontaine Fisheries or something, the first thing you see is this, like, some guy crucified or something, a splicer. You see a splicer fucking crucified, and there's like a little like Jesus cross on the ground next to him. And because they had a physics engine in it, you can pick shit up. So instead, we were so disenchanted by the whole fucking game, and we were tripping balls, so we decided that the goal of the game was to pick that little cross up and take it with us throughout the rest of the entire fucking game.
That's so awesome.
And like, oh my god, we had so much fun with it. But anyway, I fucking digress. But the point being that Bioshock was fucking fantastic. in a lot of ways, and it was truly fucking breathtaking, especially in the beginning. Still looks good today. I don't
in a lot of ways. I mean, like the Big Daddies, the underwater Art Deco stuff. But running around by the end of the game, when you're running around and trying to like throw bees at splicers to make shit happen, it's just like, ugh, really? As opposed to Infinite, which I beat twice in one night.
Oh god, I love Infinite too. Infinite is fucking awesome. I mean,
the storyline of Infinite is just fucking awesome. I remember watching the ending of that and being like, that is so good. That is so good.
There's also a lot of great porn with Elizabeth from Infinite. Oh yeah. Oh, she's getting
that's great.
She's getting stuffed in a lot of very surprisingly and shockingly well done CG porn.
Oh, I thought it was like cosplay.
Oh, there's cosplay too, but the CG porn of it is crazy because it looks just like her from the fucking game. I suggest you go look that up next time you're having a beat.
Okay.
But, another pro tip: Bioshock 2, actually fucking amazing.
Oh, I thought it sucked.
I operated under that assumption for almost a decade. I mean, I don't know if that's even possible what I just said, because I don't know if it came out in like 2008 or.
It did. Oh wait,
but
no.
When they did the remaster package of Bioshock and Bioshock 2 for PC, I got them both, and dude, I ended up playing number 2, and it was fucking phenomenal. I went and then looked up reviews on it, and much to my surprise, Bioshock 2 was very, very well received. In some instances, and some people, better received than the original.
Wow.
Yeah. It's actually really, really good. So if you have a chance at some point, I definitely recommend Bioshock 2. It's not it's not just better than you've heard, it's actually fucking good.
It would take me a lot for me to want. Dude, the first one, honestly, I like the idea of the first one, but I really am just
the execution is so lacking. Like, especially when you realize when they says, give him the 1-2 punch, you know, and you realize that the entire game can literally be trivialized by using the quote-unquote 1-2 punch. You shock someone and then destroy them with the wrench or some other weapon, and you trivialize almost every encounter in the entire fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes really samey. There's some good moments. I really like when the female splicer has the fucking baby carriage. There's a fucking gun in it.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of really great fucking moments. The whole idea of the splice, that's really the way to say it. But unfortunately, a lot of great moments don't always add up to a great game.
That is really, I mean, the real problem with many, many games that almost did it for me, but just didn't. And I was really excited for Bioshock. I was really excited for the Big Daddies and everything, but ultimately, it just fell flat. And I thought the whole
execution of it was just so lacking.
The premise and everything was just like,
dude. When I had when the whole first spoiler alert, if for some reason you haven't played all the way through it or whatever, I'm about to spoil it. Dude, when you realize that the whole would you kindly, and that whole fucking shit is the whole plot, and you're Andrew Ryan's pawn, and like, I mean,
you're his son too, aren't you?
Oh, are you really? Maybe you are.
I'm pretty sure you're his son, and he's sent to the surface as like a sleeper cell.
Yeah, to come and like kill Atlas or some stupid shit. But the whole
shit like that.
The whole thing just seems so contrived, and you know, I mean, I won't lie, I definitely had an M. Night Shyamalan fucking moment when they first said that, and I was like, oh my god, he sees dead people, would you kindly? Oh, fuck me. You know, like, I definitely had that moment, but then as it starts to seep in, I realized, like, wait, that's not really even that cool. I mean, to be fair, I didn't see it coming. But
contradicts the agency of playing a game. It's like, I wasn't forced. He said, would you kindly? But I did it because, like, that's the mission, not because I was forced to do that. Well, the gameplay and the story did not inform each other.
Oh, no, not at all. Especially, and I remember having a problem with that from the moment I started playing. Because, like, oh, God, I'm in a plane crash. Holy shit, now I'm in the ocean. I need to swim to the nearest landmass. Oh, it's this crazy fucking tower. All right, I'm going to go in here. Well, there's nothing else around, so I might as well go explore this thing. Oh, God, there's a bathysphere in this motherfucker. Let's see where it goes. Like, up until that point, I'm with you. It makes sense what the player is being told to do, right? You know, it makes logical sense. It's a logical progression. But then you're in the bathysphere, you come up into this fucking city, it's abandoned, you know, the Sploisa comes at you and fucking attacks the bathysphere, but then it runs off, right? And then the radio in it buzzes, it's this Atlas guy, and he says, hi, I don't know who you are, what you're doing here, but basically, I don't care because I have something I want you to do. Now you go do it.
Right.
And when that happened, I remember being like, why the fuck am I interested in listening to this fucking guy? Like, they don't explain that in any way, shape, or form. Like, it would have been like 4 lines of dialogue. Like, oh, I know that, you know, you're confused. You don't know what's going on. You probably, I don't know, want to get back to the fucking surface and get home, maybe? No, none of that. It's just that, like, oh, I'm like this. I'm fucking down here doing a bunch of shit. You know, like, I need you to come and help me. I mean, forget about the fact that you just saw some insane thing with hooks for hands try to murder you. I've got some stuff I'd like you to do. So let's put aside your agenda of surviving this plane crash and instead help me run around and do a bunch of weird little fetch quests in this underwater city for
such bad fetch quests.
Oh, God, they're so bad.
Although the good thing I will give them is that it's ironic because they do completely write off everything. Like, how did you get here? Anything. They completely write that all off, but they write that all off with one of the best lines ever, which is, I'm not one to question providence.
Yeah, which
I use that shit in my daily life.
I know, me too.
Great fucking
just like Guybrush Threepwood saying fucking, I'm over this
all off. And be like, oh, I don't care why you're here. It's like, just be like, how did you get here? What happened? Even if you want to acknowledge he's a silent protagonist, just say something about the fact
it would have been
rando,
a paragraph, 2 sentences even.
Anything.
You know? Like, at the same time, I believe that the Atlas character himself wouldn't care why you're here or what happened, but your player character, let's face it, you just survived a plane crash. Your first fucking, what you want to do first is probably figure out where the fuck you are, and second, figure out how the fuck to get out of there. The last thing that you're worried about is what this Atlas guy in the fucking radio wants you to do. It just... You know, and like I understand there's got to be a plot and like, you know, a fucking impetus for getting around there and going and checking shit out. Like I understand that, but it's not explained in any way. There's no attempt made to explain it. And the way that you're directed to go and like proceed along the story is the way their approach to it is it makes no sense, and it's inexplicable why they didn't add like what could have seriously amounted to 3 sentences of dialogue, which would have made me feel infinitely better about the entire first half of the game.
And they knew this, which is why they made it so it was like, oh, you've been mind controlled this whole time. That explains why you've been doing things that are completely useless to your player character because we were mind controlling.
That would make absolutely no sense for anyone to do, and you have absolutely seemingly no motivation for doing whatsoever. Like,
it's just dumb as shit. The characters are fucking totally useless, except the big daddies and little sisters, which are cool, but still like.
It's another one of those things where like, ooh, make moral choices, and we'll string you along, making you believe that they're going to have an effect on things, but all they really do is determine which cutscene you see at the fucking end.
Right, and the only choice is either you save all the little sisters, or you don't. Because if you kill even one, I'm pretty sure you get the bad ending.
I'm not 100% positive, but if memory serves, it's I think there's like the good ending, the meh ending, and the bad ending. And I think in order to get the good ending, you have to save every single one of them. To get the meh ending, I think maybe you can harvest one, but at the same time, I'm so unsure of that. You might be completely right. I don't know. But to make things even worse, the only noticeable effect in game of you not harvesting them and saving them is that you get less at them.
Yeah, right?
Like, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll punish you in terms of a gameplay element for not doing this. There's no upside to it.
Yeah, just so dumb. I mean, I remember the first time I ever saw it, there was a photo of the Big Daddy on a cover of Game Informer, and I was like, that is fucking sick. I mean, it hits all the right checkpoints for me. It's fucking Art Deco. It's an abandoned underwater city. There's these giant robotic, like, is it biological? Is it not? What the fuck is it? Aren't they actually just like atom addicts fused to the suit?
I don't remember, so I would have to guess. And if I had to guess, I would say, yeah, probably something like that. But again,
and that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But at the same time, it's more to our point that like it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it has absolutely it doesn't make any fucking difference what they are. They could just be robots, and it wouldn't fucking matter.
Well, I would care. I mean, I think it's a lot cooler if they have a biological component to them.
The developers of the second games, to their credit, in the second one, you get to become a Big Daddy.
Right. But is it a Big Daddy or is it one of those like little daddies, the weird looking ones?
The small daddies.
Yeah, the small dads. Yeah.
To be honest, I really don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I know that you had the drill that you could use, and like that was pretty cool.
That's what's up. I do like that.
But you're right. Like the first time I saw it, the setting of the whole thing was, to borrow a psychedelic term.
Yeah, right.
That was fucking amazing. The first time I saw like the trailer, it's like you're battling this Big Daddy in this unbelievable Art Deco underwater city environment, and like you pull out this syringe that mutates your skin, which turns into beehive like hexagons, and you shoot bees out of your arm at this fucking thing. And then it battles you, and it ends up, I think the last scene of that first trailer was the thing's fucking drill hand erupting from the center of your chest. And I saw that fucking shit, and I was like you said, I was lost for fucking words. I was like, this might be the coolest thing I have ever seen in my entire fucking life. And
they were so self-indulgent that it ended up just not. It's not a toilet, but it's just not a great game to me.
No, it's
boring.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
it gets boring. It's not that it's a bad game. It gets boring. It gets samey. The fetch quests are so it's so done. Like,
so much weird backtracking.
And they're like, okay, go fetch something.
Yeah, it's so much backtracking for the sake of backtracking and artificial gameplay extension. You know.
Like, are there even? Oh my god! Are the only puzzles the fucking when you play Pipe Dream to fucking hack?
God! I mean, just in their defense, I don't think there has ever been a hacking mini game that has ever been good in any game ever. I think it wasn't bad in Mass Effect 2, maybe, but it's still always just fucking so contrived and ridiculous.
It's always bad. I'm trying to remember if System Shock 2 and Deus Ex had hacking mini games, or if it was just a skill that you could.
I mean, there was definitely a hacking mini game in Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, but I don't remember the original. It's been too long since I played that.
Deus Ex: Human Evolution is the place, if you recall, where Bobbi Bao came from.
Oh shit! When I said Mankind Divided, yes, when I said Mankind Divided, I meant to say Human Revolution, but still the same thing. The new Deus Ex games have hacking mini games.
The yellow one.
Yeah, there's actually a patch for the PC version that unyellows it.
Thank God that people exist who, those are the true heroes.
Those are the true heroes of our age.
True heroes of our age are people who do shit like that.
Absolutely.
We salute you, guy who removed the yellow, like someone pissed all over it. I know, let's make this whole game, let's just put a yellow filter on it just because, that'll make us edgy and different. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna murder Bobbi Bao again.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a pretty cool game, though. I will say that shit was pretty fucking cool.
Well, I want the hacking thing. I'm not quite done. I'm not quite done
tearing apart Bioshock.
Tearing apart a game that many people consider to be absolutely incredible. Although I will say that as time has gone on, it is not nearly as lauded as it once was.
That's true. That's true.
So you're hacking with Pipe Dream. I just remember. I remember by the end, by the time you get to Fontaine's Fisheries, which is really early in the game. I remember being
it's very early in the game.
Do I seriously? I'm pretty sure that was your first quest. I was like, do I seriously have to go through another area here, just shooting up dudes to get to the next area and then come back and the gunfights are all the same because it's all 1-2 punch. And they all the enemies really just have a pistol or a melee weapon, right? There's very little enemy variance.
I think later on there's some splicers that that they run along the walls and they do a few different things, but overall no. All the combat I'm almost positive that you have seen everything that the combat has to offer within the first hour,
which is absolutely shameful. I mean, you do get different fucking plasmids or whatever. Is that what they're called in the first one, or is that in they are called plasmids, right? And they're called something else in Bioshock Infinite. I'm pretty sure they're plasmids.
Yeah, they're vigor. I think they're vigors in Infinite.
In Infinite, yes, because it's plasmid. What's the shop called where you get the plasmids? Plasmid something.
You get them at
Wait, is that where the Circus of Value, dude?
No, it's a Circus of Value. No, that's
Is that Borderlands?
no, that's
Fuck.
no, that's
Rage?
no, that's Bioshock. You're right, but that's
Bioshock 1.
that's the vending machines that say it's a Circus of Value. But the other ones are called, I think they're called Gardens of Eden. Oh no, they're called the Gatherer's Garden.
Gatherer's Garden. That sounds right.
Because the first one you see, I remember, it's amazing. It's fucking amazing. Like, when you get near it, you hear, like, this little recording of a girl being like, my daddy's smarter than Einstein and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then at the end of her little monologue, she says, smart daddies get spliced at the garden.
Yes. Yes.
And, like,
yes,
dude, I was talking about smart daddies getting spliced for, like, 3 years after that fucking game, dude.
Yeah, no, that is dead on. You are right.
Yeah.
So there are it's what's so tragic. It's like there is so many things that are like really fucking cool, but the bottom line is the gameplay is boring. Like, cool, I can shoot bees out of my arm now, but like I'm gonna.
But you don't need to.
1-2 punch.
Yeah, but you don't need to do that. You can upgrade your weapons, but you don't need to. You barely notice when you upgrade them and shit like that. Like, you can shoot bees out of your arm, or you can, like, hack a fucking turret or blah 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 blah. I mean, like, it's all okay, but it's really like you said, or did I say it? I don't remember. But it's really that a whole bunch of great moments don't always add up to a great fucking game.
Yeah, you said that, and yes, that is absolutely genius.
That really is
the point.
Yeah, it's sad, but like that's really the
sad,
fucking point.
True.
And you know what? It's like what I was saying about The Last Jedi during the last episode. You haven't seen it yet?
Wait, no, I still haven't seen it. So
no, it's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. It's just that The Last Jedi, I was surprised when it ended, when I realized that I thought it was bad, because the on-screen time of things that are great is far more than the on-screen time of things that are bad. However, despite that, for some reason, it's still a bad movie when it's over, and I fucking hate it.
Oh, I can't wait to watch it. Since you told me that, and someone else that I know told me that I was going to fucking love it. So I'm very curious as to how I end up feeling about it. Not because they did. They were just like, due to your taste, you will fucking dig this film. So I'm very curious.
I can tell you that I know you very well, and I know your taste very well, and I still, even knowing that, I still say that you will either love it or you will hate it.
I'm really excited. I can get it. I just have to rent it and watch it on my shitty little laptop screen.
Please watch it, because the thing is, as I was watching it, most of the time I was like, this is cool. Okay. Not all the time, for most of it. I was like, this is cool. All right. But then when it ended and I looked back on it as a whole piece, I was like, oh my God, that was fucking awful. And Bioshock is the same kind of thing. As you're playing through it, granted, there will be many times you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Or, oh, look at that vista. Look at this scene. Look at the way that this is set up with the shadows and the wandering splicer. Look at this moment. This is fucking amazing. This is gorgeous. But by the end of the game, you're like, oh man, I feel like I just played a fucking corridor shooter with a bad story.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically it. It's like a corridor shooter with fetch quests. Like, the environment is cool, but the gameplay ultimately is not, and the storyline sucks donkey balls. It sucks King Kong balls.
It absolutely does. Speaking of King Kong, or should we say Donkey Kong, something very momentous happened recently in gaming.
I didn't actually read the article, but I'm aware of the exposure and how dude was exposed. Go, please.
So, oh my fucking God. So, in gaming news recently, Billy Mitchell, for those of you not familiar, Billy Mitchell has been the long-time world record holder for Donkey Kong. I don't know if he, up until this occurred, if he was still the high score holder. I don't think he was.
He was not. He was like fourth.
Yeah, but he had many notable achievements. I think he was credited as,
for like decades, was the world record holder.
Yes. And so he had, I think he was credited with having the first 1,000,000-point game of Donkey Kong and a few other records. And that was just in Donkey Kong, not to mention many records that he held on a lot of other games too. But he was also, of course, known for just his unbelievably fucking over-the-top, larger-in-life character, you know? He always wore these ridiculous, like, America ties, and he was, like, this hot sauce connoisseur. He had, like, he would
I think that's what he does.
Yeah, he, like, he slangs the hot sauce. He has some ridiculous, like, I don't even know the name of the brand, but he's a hot sauce salesman. That's what he is.
Yeah,
and, like, he always has this...
I'll give him a plug before we fucking tear him to shreds.
Yeah, he always has this...
character.
He always has this ridiculously long hair. Man, and he
such a douchebag. Like, he's like a douchebag from a fucking movie.
He seriously is like, if you were trying to explain to someone the archetype douchebag, you would describe this guy.
That's him. That is the guy who tries to get your wife drunk and tries to take her home and but horribly does a really piss poor job of it. Oh yeah, shout out Ricky's world famous sauces. I really want to try them.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if it holds a candle to Frank's or what, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So, this fucking 52-year-old asshole. Like, tell me more.
All right. So, it really, I mean, the whole situation, it can't really be given enough. Can't be properly explained without talking about King of Kong just a little bit. King of Kong is, of course, the documentary about Steve Wiebe, the lovable family man underdog, battling this evil villain, Billy Mitchell. And throughout the whole movie, it's just, you know, Steve Wiebe's this lovable guy. He's a family man. I forget how he first started playing Donkey Kong. Maybe he was laid off or something.
I think that's what it was.
And, like, needed to just get a sense of purpose in his life. So, for God knows what fucking reason, he decided the best way to get that sense of purpose would be to buy a Donkey Kong arcade machine and get obsessed with playing it in his fucking garage. I mean, I've lost my job before. Well, many times. Well, every job I've ever had, I've been fired from. But and so I'm no stranger to that feeling, right? But I don't understand that. I don't understand how the best way that you've decided to cope with that is to go buy a Donkey Kong machine. I mean,
right.
Most
people just develop alcoholism.
Yeah, or or get another job. I don't know.
God forbid, get a job.
Yeah, so who knows why this really happened? I mean, the movie King of Kong does a good job explaining it, but we're gonna leave.
Great job.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that to the side.
It's really painted as an underdog story versus a comic book villain, but as has been proven this year, it really was like on point. That was 11 years ago that movie came out, and
Holy
it really
fuck.
kind of predicted all this. And it was like, Billy Mitchell is a cheater, is what that movie said. Billy Mitchell is dishonest. His shit was not legit. And Billy Mitchell was like, the documentarians painted me as a villain. I'm not a villain. And I was like, that's bullshit.
How could look at yourself? Have you ever seen yourself in the mirror? You are obviously a villain. I don't care what you've even done. You are obviously a fucking villain.
Yeah, he's fucking terrible.
Although, to be fair, I don't think that the documentary or King of Kong came out and said we think he was a cheater. But it did take the angle of Steve Wiebe. I think like the climax of the film or something like that was they were supposed to have like a fucking final showdown. They were supposed to meet in a public big arcade and have a final head-to-head battle. And in the end, good guy Steve Wiebe shows up. He shows up, not only does he show up, but he proceeds to fucking crush it on a live machine with a fucking audience and a camera crew. And he fucking crushes it.
And hits the world record.
And Billy Mitchell is a fucking no-show because he's a piece of shit and he's a fucking villain. But then, right before Steve Wiebe's about to claim his victory, Twin Galaxies, which is the institution that is in charge of keeping track of all these records and stuff like that, they receive a videotape submission from Billy Mitchell that shows him beating Steve Wiebe's score. A videotape submission. And I think the end of the movie is Twin Galaxies saying, yup, this is legit. Sorry, Steve Wiebe, Billy Mitchell got you again.
Right. I mean, they weren't supposed to allow, first of all, they weren't supposed to allow tapes. They had to be live. And something that I found out when this investigation came out, which was not mentioned in King of Kong, so I think it was kept private, the actual owners of Twin Galaxies weren't just that old man, Walter. Billy Mitchell was the other head of Twin Galaxies at the time.
What? I did not know that. I remember Walter Day. I know Walter Day, who was the founder and the head of it at the time.
But it was actually Billy on the same exact role as Walter. They both were on the same level, and that was, I think it was kept very fucking secret.
Well,
which is why
yeah.
when he was on the phone, he was like, yes, we're going to accept this submission. So Billy was like, we're going to accept my own submission.
Yeah, and wow, if he really was, that's fucking crazy. No fucking wonder. You know, I always thought that they were a little bit too nice to motherfucking
I was like, why
Billy
are they
Mitchell.
why are they just really just sucking his dick like this? It's because he's in charge of the fucking thing behind the scenes.
Yo, yeah, that's the thing. Is that it seemed like not just were they were in his favor, but like it seemed like they were fucking sucking his dick a little bit. Like, oh, Billy Mitchell, you got so many fucking scores. So anyway, all that aside, it was a very tragic ending to the movie. Your fucking hero, Steve Wiebe, who had fought through, he had fought an honest battle with integrity and, you know, and spirit throughout this whole film. He was the underdog, and at the end put on this commanding fucking performance, got this amazing score, and then the villain, motherfucking Billy Mitchell, slides in right at the last second with his fucking videotape and snatches victory from Steve Wiebe's hands. Right out from his motherfucking hands. And it was awful. Well, over the past 2 weeks, man, don't ever say that karma does not come back around to fucking get you. Because if there has ever been evidence for the fact that motherfuckers will get theirs in the end, it's right fucking here. Because not only was it finally discovered that that tape that Billy Mitchell submitted was done using emulation software.
Yep.
And I mean, some people say, oh, that's not necessarily doesn't disqualify him. However, from this particular score category, part of the rules are that it is done on an original, unmodified board of the original arcade hardware. And it was determined without a shadow of a doubt. They didn't determine what specifically what emulator software it was, because that would have required, I mean, if you know anything about the emulation scene, there's literally hundreds of emulators out there. So it would have been almost impossible for them to figure out whether if it was MAME or fucking whatever. But they did.
I mean, I think it has to be MAME, because I think only MAME can emulate specific arcade boards. At least when the videos that I saw, I mean, whatever, it's kind of irrelevant. But the videos that I saw specifically were like, it's MAME.
Yeah, well, I think that they couldn't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, but they could prove that it was a fucking emulator.
Right.
Billy Mitchell's fucking score that he used on that pussy ass fucking videotape to snatch victory from the well-deserving Steve Wiebe's hands was done on a fucking emulator
unequivocally
like a goddamn fucking pussy. And not only did they fucking strip him of that fucking score, but they contacted the Guinness Book of World Records. In which his score was posted, and they snatched that Guinness World Record from that motherfucker too, and instead handed it to the rightful holder, motherfucking our hero, Steve Wiebe.
And he got the record?
Well, yeah, because the record that Billy Mitchell was in the Guinness Book for was for the first 1,000,000-point game of Donkey Kong.
Oh my God! Wow.
So I mean, while Steve Wiebe still doesn't have the all-time high score, he is in the Guinness Book of World Records now as being the first person to make a 1,000,000-point game of fucking Donkey Kong. So they stripped his fucking Guinness World Record, and they stripped him, just for good measure, of every single other record that he ever held, and then banned him from fucking Twin Galaxies.
It says he's banned from submitting any future scores, so he's essentially been blacklisted from competitive gaming. That is fucking awesome. I can't believe
justice, motherfucker, justice.
And I see, what the fuck? He said, I've never even played MAME. I don't have MAME loaded in my home. The film footage that he has shows MAME play. I'm not disputing what he says. What I'm disputing is that I want him to have the original tape. What the fuck is he saying?
He actually put out like a video of him making a statement. And he doesn't really say anything at all other than like, we were professional and we will be vindicated and the truth is going to come out, which is like what you say when you're trying to dispute something when you don't actually have any evidence and you're lying.
Right. Oh my God.
But I just love that. Seriously, for anyone who's even with a cursory familiarity with this shit, who's seen the movie The King of Kong, who knows who Billy Mitchell is, this is seriously like a day of celebration, because it's fantastic.
So awesome.
To see,
like,
it's awesome to see people get what's fucking coming to them, you know?
Oh my God. So this actually happened 1 week ago that the Twin Galaxies announced it.
Yeah,
the scores.
Yeah, this is very, very recent.
11 years after that fucking movie came out, he finally got his comeuppance.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, why weren't they trying to, prove it back then?" And like you said, maybe it's because he was a part owner of that shit. I'm sure that had something to do with it. But it's also with the explosion of just gaming in general, the internet and shit. Dude, it's probably, I would imagine, much easier to pick out a MAME gameplay versus arcade original hardware gameplay.
Oh, it's extremely easy. It's extremely easy. I watched a video of what it is, and essentially it's the way that the screens load.
Oh, it's the board changing animation or something. Like how the screen wipes or something.
Yeah, the arcade screen will load each stage by wiping left to right or something like that, whereas MAME loads each piece randomly, and it's extremely fucking obvious how different it is. And this, just some fucking kid, some elite hacksaw with too much time on his hands, was like, yo, I've seen this video so many times, been playing this game. Because it really, the best part is, it's that video that Billy Mitchell submitted that King of Kong had in it that was the key to his undoing. Because that's how the public had access to the video. This dude just compared the video to MAME and compared it to a real Donkey Kong board and was like, this is obviously MAME. There's no way a Donkey Kong board does not behave this way. So it cannot be a Donkey Kong board. So the score is bullshit.
And that's basically what that is why his shit was stripped, was because it doesn't matter what the fuck it actually was done on. Maybe it was an emulator. Who the fuck knows? But what they do know is that it was not done on original arcade hardware that was unmodified. It was not done on that. And that's all they need to know in order to make the score invalid.
What a piece of shit.
What a piece of shit.
What a piece of shit. I can't believe that dude got on camera over and over and over and said with a straight face, I'm the best. Don't try to act like I'm not the best. You're just all haters for saying I'm cheating because I'm the best. I'll do it live at some point. And actually, straight up, was fucking cheating. What a piece of shit. What a fraud. I can't believe that Guinness stripped him of his shit.
Oh, yeah.
That dude is in utter shame. Oh my god.
Let that be a lesson to everybody out there, man. Shit. Justice will be done. Right. You will fucking get yours.
Oh yeah.
God, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, seriously.
In this internet age, dude, no motherfuckers cannot get away with shit.
No one is safe.
No one is fucking safe. God.
That is.
So that's really great news. That's phenomenal.
That's great. Seriously, that's great news. That's great news. I really hope. I just read that Steve Weeby teaches math at Redmond High School, I guess in Washington, where Microsoft is. I really hope that his class gave him like a fucking standing ovation when that happened.
I hope so. I would be surprised if his class was not infinitely familiar with who he is and the whole Donkey Kong shit.
They'd have to be.
There's no way they wouldn't be.
If your math teacher was the subject of a video game documentary about him getting the world record in some game, and like a documentary of that quality, I would fucking know it. Like, that documentary is fan-fucking-tastic. Dude, when his wife is like crying and shit because she's like, this is like the one thing that he loves that gives purpose.
This is all he wanted. This is the only thing that gives his life meaning since he lost his job, is playing Donkey Kong, and now he's failed. Oh my god, it was heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. And the whole time he was like trying to keep a stiff upper lip, and dude was like about to fall apart. Oh my god.
Man, it's so great. It's, it's really a feel-good story, and I fucking love that. And this, to quote Willy Wonka, so shines a good deed in this weary world.
Oh man, big time. Like, the guy who exposed him, that's the real hero.
Yeah.
The guy who 11 years after King of Kong came out, which is like, Billy Mitchell thought that he had gotten the fuck away with
Seriously, dude, it's been 11 years. He was sure he got away with it. Oh my god.
Billy Mitchell is like the O.J. Simpson of gaming. Seriously.
That's a pretty severe severe fucking position to take, but I agree. I agree.
It's gaming, so that was it's as bad as a murder, I suppose. Like, Billy Mitchell got away with what he considered to be the perfect crime, and then, on the flip side, OJ didn't get caught for that. But
OJ did basically implicate himself the same way that Billy Mitchell implicated himself by submitting knowingly false fucking shit.
Submitted knowingly false evidence.
Dude, you just think...
And thought he would get away with it. He thought he was so smooth that he could get away with this, submit it himself, approve it, get it on, and just bounce.
That tells you what kind of fucking nut job this motherfucker is.
Job.
That he submitted shit that he knew was fucking fake, and just, oh yeah, sure, no problem, and was able to lie with a completely straight face. That motherfucker's probably slightly sociopathic. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, absolutely, dude. Oh Jesus, like you can in his eyes, the look in his eyes, where he's just talking about how he's the best.
Dead. He's and so dude, dead inside.
Just horrifying. Remember his wife looked like a horror show too.
Oh God,
like she was like
these
straight up
awful
Florida
vacant
shit.
shells of people. So fucking terrible. I mean, I don't think we need to go so far as to slander his wife. So
I'll slander his wife.
I bet you will.
Sorry, Billy.
Moving on. I was looking up complete inbox LucasArts games. Here's a Sam and Max one for $50. Then I saw, dude, the Quake 1 full box. That shit was so fucking amazing.
How much?
$35.
Holy shit, complete?
Yeah. Oh God, it's so fucking cool.
Wow.
Another bit of news that happened recently that I just want to touch on, especially because in our first ever episode, which was never released, but we did talk about it. Chrono Trigger for PC, which was such fucking shit. Such shit. They have finally gone back and released a patch for it that makes that leaves the original pixel artwork intact.
That is amazing. I can't believe. And is it out?
Yes, it's out.
That is crazy. I can't believe that they made such a stink that Square Enix just did it. They were like, okay.
Thank fucking God, right? That gives me hope that maybe they'll fix some of the glaring problems in the Secret of Mana remake. But still, that's fucking, right. That's really, really awesome. I'm glad that they fucking did that. Like, that's the kind of shit. It's the same thing I was talking about with the classic WoW announcement and shit. Is that like people and communities really can make a fucking difference and influence what these companies are doing, and like that's great for gaming. That's great for fucking everybody. I just think that's so cool. And the people were so upset that they went out and they're like, you know what? Here's a fucking patch. Here's the original graphics. Although it's still,
please shut the fuck up.
Please shut the fuck up. Although it is still at least slightly distressing that they were so out of touch to begin with that they would even consider releasing the game in the state that it was when it came out.
Like, no one wants to play it like that.
Literally no one. Literally
There's no one who's like, oh, thank God they changed the graphics.
Yeah, thank God they put this shit fucking shader on here and smoothed out all the pixels.
25 years I've been thinking about how much the graphics suck on Chrono Trigger. I'm so glad they fixed them. Next, they better redo the music.
Yeah, next they better redo the music.
Like, God, because it sucks so much. I just can't stand the music. Let's do remixes.
Oh, God.
Like, get rid of the OG music. I want to look at this. I'm taking a look now to see this. Just have Steam open, because I don't know if you've played Darkest Dungeon. I had a chance to try it.
No, but I hear it's not my kind of game, but I hear it is fucking fantastic.
Probably not, because it's like really micromanagey turn-based RPG, but stylistically, and it's also hyper difficult, like to an absurd degree. But stylistically, it's gorgeous, really gothy. And when I opened up Steam just to poke around, first thing that came up was it's on sale for 66% off. So instead of $25, it's like $9. I'm buying that shit.
It's also very Lovecraft influenced, which is what brought me to its fucking Steam page in the first place. Was it has
showed up. And speaking of, dude, Lovecraft, bring Lovecraft and point and click together. Are you aware that there's a Call of Cthulhu? Or I don't know, it's a Lovecraft point and click adventure game in the style of LucasArts. And the reviews were very poor, which is why I didn't purchase it.
Well, there's is it called Call of Cthulhu? Because there was a Call of Cthulhu Xbox/PC game back in the day that we played.
It might be like Shadow over Innsmouth. Do a quick search. You'll see what it looks like. Just search real quick. I found it just bumbling around Steam, but the reviews were poor. And like, I don't want to play a Lovecraft point and click game unless there's a final showdown with an elder god, like where there's like a Cthulhu eyeball as big as the screen.
What is this?
Steam is fucking crazy.
It's Yeah, it is. I mean, there's a lot of there's so many fucking asset flips and shit on there though. It's really hard to deal with. But
So many what?
asset flips.
What is that?
Well, do you know what Unity is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course you do. We were actually working on a game in motherfucking Unity.
Yeah.
Well,
Put some shit together.
yeah. There's such a thing called the Unity Asset Store, which is things like zombie models or like guns for an FPS that are like trees, houses, whatever, and like stuff that you can just buy. For instance, PUBG was made almost exclusively with just assets purchased from the Unity store.
And is that part of Steam?
No, but what so many companies do is that they just make a game that is not even playable or barely playable in only the most rudimentary sense of the word. And they make it using nothing but assets and then try to sell it on Steam for money.
Ugh.
And like, if you're familiar with Jim Sterling, the Jimquisition,
Why does that sound familiar?
Oh, he used to write for Destructoid and shit like that. He's this enormous dude. He has a British accent. He originally from the UK, but he's so fucking entertaining, and he just ruthlessly skewers shit in the video game world. It's just, he is poignant, well spoken, articulate, and hysterical. He's amazing. But he's always talking about how Steam is just rife with these asset flips that aren't even really playable games. But they're just trying to trick people into thinking that they are in order to make like a quick buck.
Okay.
So anyway, that's a huge problem with Steam. But aside from all the asset flips and shit, yes, there's a lot of great shit on there.
Yeah, sometimes I just poke around it and I'm just like, wow, this is great. I really want a good computer. Shit is cool. Yes, I'm about to I need to excuse me. Sorry, everybody listening to
your chest
smoker's lung. I need to buy Darkest Dungeon at $8 because, like, when I played it on Switch, it definitely looked like it was built for a mouse because there's just so much shit to click. It seems like it was really built for mouse. And like, I have a lot to say about Switch. Like, we don't need to get into it now, but like, my buddy was here visiting, brought his Switch, and in the course of 10 days, I played so many games. I did not actually get a chance to fire up Mario Odyssey, but let me tell you something. Like, you will not likely get at least two girls. One is not. With all due respect to the lady gamers out there, like there still is definitely a stigma where it's like gaming is male skewed. A lot of women especially women who are like in their 20s, 30s, did not necessarily grow up with the massive exposure. Although one of them, super fucking gamer. So, right there. But still, just the two of them, like, howling, playing Puyo Tetris, playing Rocket League, playing Mario Kart, screaming at each other, being like, oh man, no, let's play more Mario Kart, let's play more Puyo Tetris. You're not going to get that shit with other systems, to say nothing of the fact that the Joy-Cons are just such a wonderful, fun little thing. Like, are they great controllers? No. But do they get the job done? Absolutely. For what they need, we even did a 4-player Rocket League using the Joy, and that was tough.
Oh, I've never played Rocket League, but it looks fucking fun as hell.
Let me tell you something. I had never played it either. I had heard the hype, but I'd never played it, and I was like, is it really that good? Oh my God, is it fantastic. It's all I wanted to do after I beat Celeste was play Rocket League competitively and I was doing 2v2 with me and my homie against a computer, against 2 bot computers. And that game, when you score, the thing is, the physics are just, I don't want to say they're sloppy because they're perfect, but they're not realistic in any way. And so you're basically like, every car has the same stats. And you have a boost, and there's tons of these, what is essentially like looks like a landmine, and as you drive over it, it replenishes your boost. And it's soccer with these giant cars that work like, it's almost like monster trucks that have a double jump, and there's a beach ball that's like, it's essentially, if the cars are the size of like a big muscle car, it's like 8-10 foot tall beach ball that bounces like a motherfucker, and you're trying to use your cars, the boost, the jump, and your ability to spin your car almost like a bicycle kick to score goals on each other. And the rocket comes from the boost, which is an absolutely critical part of playing it. I mean, the game is just started. We were like screaming when we were scoring goals or getting scored on. It was really just so stellar. I mean, I can't imagine playing it without a controller. And it really, I mean, the thing about the Switch is, and having a group of 4 people together, the couch co-op. I mean, I played so much couch co-op. I just, like, it was absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I also played Doom. Not a ton of it, but I played Doom for about an hour. Amazing.
Phenomenal, right?
Amazing. I thought the glory kills over and over again would get old. They do not, especially because there's like 8 of them and they're dynamic. So if you have a dude up against a wall and you get the one where you kick his head in, you'll splatter his head against the wall. Well, that's amazing.
There's also, they're not just for show. It's a mechanic that reinforces the way the whole gameplay is set up, which is basically on the which is around the theme of never stop moving. And the glory kills, what makes them so good is, like, do you start to see the same kind of animations a lot? You do, but they are varied enough, and like you said, they're contextual, so you don't really get tired of using them, but they also so brilliantly reinforce the key game, or the core gameplay mechanic of always keep moving. It rewards you for getting up in things' fucking faces and destroying them by giving you ammo and a little more health. So it makes it possible for you to continue just running around like a fucking madman. Even if, you know, in the course of running around like a madman, that takes you right up into the face of a fucking thing, that's okay. Here's a mechanic that not only helps you deal with it, but it rewards you for doing it also. And that's just, God, it's so phenomenal. I actually watched a 1.5 hour lecture by the guy who did the soundtrack for it on how he did it. And man, the
soundtrack is so good.
Oh my God, the way he fucking did it, dude, is unfucking believable. It's unbelievable. And his whole presentation was around the theme of, if you're having a hard time with something, examine and then change your process. And the way that he went about making this shit, like, is just insane. I can't do it justice. I don't remember enough of the minutiae or the specifics to really, like I said, to do it justice here. But he starts by taking like a single note and running it through like 9 different feedback pedals, and then and recording just that and the feedback in order to syncopate it and give it a fucking rhythm. And then at first he also talks about how they didn't want guitars in it because he knew if there was guitars in it, it would just sound like a modern remake of the original score, which personally, that's what I would have wanted if you had given me a choice. But he does make a really great case for doing it the way he did it. But so he eventually went back and said, all right, we'll put a little guitars in it. But what he did was he sampled a chainsaw and blended that waveform with the sound of a guitar. So it literally is the sound of a chainsaw revving with the guitar. It's really, oh my God, it's phenomenal. I'll try to find the link to his speech that it was like I think it was a GDC Game Developers Conference that he did. But it was, dude, it seriously is almost a 2-hour lecture that is for people like us who are audio engineers, where he talks literally about his process and how he went to create these sounds. And it's just, it's inspiring and it's incredibly creative. It's really brilliant.
Oh, it's great.
But I'm glad you got a chance to play Doom, especially because, I mean, let's just get into Doom just a little bit here. No one has been able to successfully recreate the Doom formula since Doom 2. Nobody.
Right.
Including id Software themselves. No one has been able to do it. I mean, granted, Doom 3 was cool. It was a cool game. But when they made it, they forgot that Doom is about like a fast, crazy horror, operatic ballet of violence. That's what it is. And there's horror elements in there. It's scary and there's horror themes, but it's not a horror game. It's an arcade shooter. Right. If you really want to get down to it, it's an arcade shooter. It's arcadey gameplay. It's about moving fucking fast, flying down these haunted corridors at breakneck fucking speed, just splattering and gibbing anything that gets in your fucking way. And as cool as Doom 3 was, what I just described is literally the exact opposite of the gameplay in Doom 3.
Right, because isn't Doom 3 like really slow?
Yes, you have a flashlight. Remember in the original version of the game, you could not hold a flashlight and your weapon at the same time.
Oh my god. That's so dumb.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, there was patches to fix that like almost immediately. And I think when they did things like porting it to Xbox and stuff that they changed that. But at first, they wanted it to be like a slow horror game. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's very successful as that. It's scary to creep around, and if you want to see something that's completely covered in shadows, which I mean, pretty much 90% of the entire game is covered in shadows. But like, you have to bring up your flashlight and like go around the corner and then quickly switch to a weapon if there's a zombie and there's jump scares, and it's very successful at doing that. Unfortunately, they called it Doom 3 instead of, you know, a space army guy has to escape from a base that's filled with demons, you know? And if they had just called it that, or just came up with some other fucking name for it, like shit, like not to call it Doom, call it Hell. I don't know. But just call it something different, and it probably would have sold better and been much far better received. But they called it Doom 3, and they made the gameplay the absolute antithesis of what the gameplay was in the original Doom. And as a result, I'm pretty sure it was, it might have made back enough money to not get the title of a commercial failure. I don't know. But it was generally perceived by fans as a failure. Not because it wasn't a good game. It was a good game. But because it was a bad Doom game. And I mean, that's just to go on a little tangent. That's what so many remakes. That's what so many remakes do. That make that exact mistake of they remake or they revive. They do a new version of an old classic game, and the one thing that they leave out is the very thing that made the original good in the fucking first place.
Right.
And so it gets to the point, like, why does it even have this name? I mean, I guess the obvious answer to that would be so they can cash in on the IP, on fans of the IP, you know?
Sure.
But,
yep.
So that was long story short, that was a terrible tragedy with Doom 3. And so it's been over almost 25 years, I fucking think, at this point. Almost 25 years when Doom 2016 originally came out, since someone had really captured the original Doom formula. And so I don't think I was alone in looking at that game and looking at its approaching release date with more of a feeling of dread than anything else. Certainly not anticipation, because it was mostly just like waiting for the shit show. Like, oh God, here, the release date's getting closer. I'm really not excited to see how they butcher this again. And much to everybody, including my fucking shock, not only did they not butcher it, but it was an amazing achievement. Just the basic move speed is faster than the sprint in most other shooters. And you always get to move that fast. You always get to move that fast.
Oh, it's so fast. It's awesome. It's really, really fast. The speed is great. The fact that you can jump up to ledges and pull yourself up is awesome. There's secrets to find. It's so fun to find secrets. Killing the enemies are tough. Seriously, if you don't do the glory kills, you die fast. And when I got the chainsaw, I realized that it takes fuel and that you get ammo if you use it is awesome.
Yes, you get chainsaw fuel by doing chainsaw kills and glory kills.
Right.
And that's a great,
awesome.
Amazing way to balance it, because it's ridiculously powerful. You can't just have an unlimited use of that, or otherwise it would break the game. Much like the 1-2 fucking punch that we were talking about earlier in Bioshock. Yeah. It would have broken it. But instead, they limit the fucking ammo, and it becomes almost like a melee-type BFG weapon, which it is, and in that kind of implementation, it's extremely successful.
Right.
So, anyway, I'm glad that you played it. That game was a fucking crowning achievement. And I don't know if you've heard this, but already Bethesda is teasing that at E3 this year, Doom 2.
Wait, what? They're going to do a sequel?
Yes.
Are they going to go into hell?
There's
How does it end with them?
It ends with you defeating a fucking not a cyber demon. It ends with you killing the spider fucking mastermind.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
I wanted
awesome.
to know if there was. I wanted to know if there was a cyber demon or a spider mastermind in it.
Oh, there is both. There is both.
There's both. There's a cyber demon too.
Yeah, I can't think of what the cyber demon looks like right now, but I'm almost positive there's a cyber demon in it. There's definitely a fucking spider mastermind and things that are the size of cyber demons in it. Let me look real quick just because I want to know for sure.
I mean, when I realized the thing that I was fighting was an imp, I was like, "That's great." And
oh yeah, and
I
the
think I
pinkies,
was
dude, the
fighting
pinky demons
pinkies,
look
too.
fucking amazing.
I'm pretty sure I was fighting pinkies.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely a cyber demon. There's absolutely a cyber demon in it.
Awesome.
100%. Yeah, and it looks, God, it's just, Jesus, and yeah, it's a whole boss fight. Of course, I'm retarded. Of course, there's a fucking cyber demon in it. Yeah.
Finish it.
Oh yeah, many times. Although I will say that it is so challenging that I have yet to be able to beat it on Nightmare.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, I beat it on Ultraviolence, which also was not fucking easy. But on Nightmare, it is very hard. And like, I'm not amazing at, FPSs on PC, but I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm good enough to beat almost every Call of Duty that's on PC on Hardened or Veteran, whatever the highest skill level is of Call of Duty on PC. I cleared almost every single one of those games on the hardest difficulty, which some people would argue is more difficult than Doom. So, I mean, I do know what I'm doing. And I still, dude, I can't even get past like the second fucking stage on Nightmare. It is very fucking difficult. And you said you played it on Switch, right?
Yep.
How did it look?
I mean, to be honest, like the graphics were not great, but I to the point where I commented on it, but I was like, while they don't look great, within 60 seconds, I stopped even thinking about it, and I was like, oh my god, the environments are so cool. I feel like I'm on Mars. I didn't really pay attention to the fact that the graphics look dated.
Well, and I mean, they only look dated in the with respect to the fact that they're being downscaled to run on a Switch.
Right.
Because
that's exactly.
Because I played that game in.
If I played that on PC, I bet it looks.
Oh yeah,
gold.
dude! I played in 4K, 60 frames per second on PC, and it is breathtaking.
Crazy.
It is breathtaking. It's
no slowdown ever.
Oh no! Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I have a relatively nice rig. I have an i5 8600 overclocked to 5 gigahertz with a 6 gigabyte GeForce 1060, which is not as good as a 1080, but it is. That's more than good enough to run Doom at 60 frames per second locked. I mean, and it's phenomenal. So, yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to play that. It's fucking great. I hope they announce Doom 2. There's been no formal announcement, nothing, but just like the Bethesda reps have been saying things like, "Oh yeah, E3 is like hell on earth." And shit like that, and people like their Twitter accounts been saying shit like that, and people are immediately like, because the subtitle of Doom 2 was Hell on Earth.
Oh right,
yeah. So God, let's pray that we see that fucking sequel. Have you talked about Celeste at all? You love that fucking game, right?
I have not.
Tell me a little bit about Celeste.
All right, so Celeste is a 2D pixel art side-scrolling platformer that the core gameplay mechanic is you go screen to screen and you have to essentially solve platforming puzzles by using your one ability, which is a dash jump. So you're like, or rather, it's just a dash, which you can use in the air, you can use it anywhere. But the rub is that when you use your dash off the ground, you must touch the ground again, flat ground, before you can use your dash again, which means that you can't double dash over pits or whatever. You have to dash, figure out some way to either wall jump or land on something, and then dash again. It sounds simple, but the puzzles are genius. The gameplay is phenomenal. The music is amazing. The graphics are so unbelievable. And something that I was not expecting when I started it, the storyline is fucking outstanding and beautiful. And it's about this girl's struggle with her. It's very it's so minimal, and it just creeps up on you slowly but surely. But this is a great example of gameplay informing the story, and the story informing the gameplay as well. Which is incredible. It really, I mean, this game deals with her having like depression and anxiety and panic attacks and stuff.
Oh my
and
God.
It's all dealt with and handled in an absolutely incredible, really like modern and detailed and respectful kind of way that's just so fucking good. The storyline is so good that when when the core scenes were happening, once at first I was like, oh, there's not really going to be a story with this, and it slowly but surely amped up until the finale. The way the finale is so good, I like felt choked up while I was playing the last stage because it was just so fucking profoundly powerful and beautiful and awesome. And when it ended, I seriously was like upset. I was like, I can't believe that it's over. Like, I can't believe that it's over. I immediately started playing it again and played more of it. And the only reason I didn't continue because I was like, I'm not going to have this data. So I'm not going to push to get more of these fucking secrets because there's so much to do. Also, I mean, the game is so hard. It has a death counter. My finished gameplay time is somewhere in the 7 hours range. My death counter was over 1,200.
Wow. But it's
over
kind
1,200.
But I mean, obviously, since it's a death counter, it's the same kind of thing like in like New Super Mario Brothers for Wii. The 4-player side-scrolling thing where it just keeps track of how many times you die because you're just flying into pits like every fucking other second.
Yeah, well, I mean, the game is very supportive. It's like the game understands its premises about anxiety, depression stuff, so it's always very supportive. So it's like, hey, keep an eye on your death counter. It getting higher is a good thing because it means you're learning. And when you die, you die and you burst like Mega Man, and then you insta respawn.
You burst like Mega Man? That's awesome.
You burst like Mega Man, and the respawn is almost instantaneous. I'm telling you, this. I really truly believe that this is like my second favorite game of all time behind Chrono Trigger.
That's insane.
I swear to God, well, I really, truly feel that this is my second favorite game. And Chrono Trigger, honestly, like Celeste could even take the cake if Chrono Trigger did not have such a critical position in my life and in turning me into who I am. So like nothing can top Chrono Trigger ever. I mean, you can never forget your first like that. But Celeste truly is like nothing I've ever played before. The gameplay is absolutely outstanding. Like to the point where even if the story and music, even if you just skipped all the story and turned the music off and just played the game, it would be so phenomenal. But the music and the story and where the story goes, and it's just like it's told in very, very, very brief little interactions. Oh my God, it's so good. There's like 5 characters in the entire game, but you run into them in different ways and just, oh my God, I will not even discuss the storyline because it has to be played through and discovered. It's so incredible. But really the whole game is about like self-discovery. And for that to be the storyline of a video game, it's about dealing with and overcoming depression and anxiety through self-discovery and acceptance.
Wow.
It's absolutely fucking incredible. I cannot speak highly enough about Celeste. Seriously, that game is worth any amount of money.
Holy shit, it's only $20.
I'm telling you, you buy that game.
Oh, fuck, I'm going to buy it. I'm buying it.
You have to play it with a controller. Buy it, and as soon make sure you have the sound on because you got to hear the music and the sound effects. As soon as you get going, you're going to be like, oh, this is really cute. And then you're going to be like, oh, this is really tough. And then you're going to be like, holy shit, this is fucking good. Because really, at its core, I mean, the gameplay, it is a badass side-scrolling platformer with heavy, heavy puzzle elements. Because basically, you're given a room, and you're meant to... Some rooms you have to be seriously, like, essentially frame perfect. And you're given unlimited tries to figure out how to do it and what to... And also, while it's not technically Metroidvania, because you don't get more abilities and get to go back to other places... Each new chapter introduces a new gameplay element, and the way that the puzzles play with the gameplay elements and the way they teach you to become masterful with each gameplay element is absolutely fucking amazing. Like, the first couple rooms in a stage are always just like, hey, check out this new gameplay element. And then they're like, okay, now use it to solve these super fucking hard puzzles where you are going to die, and you are going to die over and over and over. And there was and the best part is, when you die, at no point was I like, this game is cheap, this game is bullshit. Every time I died, I went, I know how to solve this puzzle, and I'm failing because of me. If I nail this, I can do it. It's clear how this room needs to be solved. I just need to get good. And that is another mark of an amazing game, where it's just like, no, the failures are my own. It's not because of the game. The design is fucking flawless. The game is seriously perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I have not
Wow.
one complaint about the game. Not one single complaint. I would not change a fucking thing. Nothing. And there's so much extra shit to do after you're done. So many secrets. There's extra stages and stuff. There's so much to do. They also include, because this game was originally made as part of like a 48-hour game jam, the prototype of it. They include the prototype in the game, so you can play that also. Holy fuck, is it good. Like, seriously, I cannot recommend it enough. It's really, truly, I was not, like, my buddy was like, you gotta try Celeste. And I sat down and played it, and I was like, dude, I really want to keep playing this. And he was like, then do it. Beat it. Do it. And I beat it over the course of, I want to say, 3 days.
Oh, that's pretty quick.
Like,
well, my concern is this, is because you know how I feel about games that are just very twitchy like that, right? Basically, because, I mean, like, I want to see the story. I want to, you know, move through the plot and everything like that. I want to experience the music and the artwork and the setting. But I can't sit there and just throw myself against a proverbial wall, I guess, over and over and over, unless it's crafted in such a very specific way to not only encourage that, but to ease the sting of that constant failure over and over and over. And it sounds like it absolutely does do that.
Yeah, because it's basically engineered for that. In that you respawn so fucking quickly that, like, you could just jump in a pit, die. Like, sometimes you'll just jump in a pit just to get back to the start of the room faster, just because, like, okay, cool. Like, because it allows you to restart so quickly, I definitely think it's worth trying, because, like, the game is fucking perfect. It's so good. To say nothing of the fact that, like, by the end of it, I had, like, the people who I was with were essentially an audience watching me in the final stage, just being like, oh my fucking God, this shit is crazy. Just watching the ballet of jump moves where you're like jump, land, dash, wall jump, dash, just and over like pits and spikes, and with, I mean, the different gameplay mechanics they introduced, and the gameplay,
So it's not like a Dark Souls level of difficulty where it's impossible and it's not fun while it's impossible. You're saying it's very, very hard, but it's fun while it's being very, very hard.
Yes, I also think there's a significant difficulty curve. I think that it starts out where it's more about solving the room than it is about being good. I feel like in the beginning, once you solve the rooms, it's fairly easy to figure out, like, it's fairly easy to get through the very first chapter. By the time you're done with the first chapter, you understand the controls enough, you're intuitive enough with the controls, that, okay, you move on to chapter 2, and it gets a little bit harder, and all of a sudden you're good enough with the controls that the puzzles get a little tougher, you need to be a little more specific and a little more tight with the controls. And then the game ramps up where you need to be super tight with the controls, but again, because it's like, it's a single screen, I mean, well, some of the rooms are bigger than one screen, but, like, you know what you got to do. You can plot out your moves in advance. You can experiment. And it's just so nice to look at. It feels so good to play that it's like you don't mind. The dash is so satisfying. The sound that it fucking makes when you dash, the sound that it makes when you die is so satisfying. Like,
so it rewards you. It rewards you often enough to keep you from getting overly frustrated.
I mean, it rewards you constantly. It's like a nonstop dopamine fucking fiasco. Because the thing is, I'll tell you this, the feeling that's so satisfying is you figure out how you're supposed to do the room, and also for people like you and I who are like ADHD and analytical, part of the fun of the game was me sitting there before I started at a stage. Like, sometimes I would just dive in and I would figure it out as I was moving. I was like, cool, I'll do better at this stage if I just fucking wing it and do it, like, while I'm in midair, figure out where I need to go. And sometimes I would sit there at the beginning and I'd be like, okay, I know where I need to go. And then it would be about executing with my hands what my brain knew I needed to do. And that is when you finish the stage and you hit the exit, it's so fucking satisfying being like, boom, nailed it. Like, yep, I knew I had to do it like that, and I just fucking nailed it, and it was beautiful watching it come to pass. So definitely give it a shot. Certainly, at least when you fire it up and feel and see and hear it, you're going to at least be like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I mean, the pixel art is second to none. It's hyper minimal pixels, but super level of detail. I mean, everything is juicy. Like, there's fucking particle effects on everything. Like, you dash and jump and the screen shakes a little bit, and like, oh my God. the level of detail is phenomenal. So I highly recommend, give it a shot. So worth it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's
what?
That's great. Yeah, no, that's wait, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that really puts a nice little bow on your whole little Celeste pitch right there. And I just picked my Switch up while you were ranting about it, and I just bought it.
Oh, fantastic!
So I'm
great. Do you have a Pro controller?
No, I do not.
Well, I definitely. You have the controller where you can like slide it into.
Yeah. That comes with the Switch.
All right. I highly recommend not attempting to play it on the little screen. I mean, you can try. I mean,
I would only play it on my TV.
I mean, also the Pro controller is fucking awesome. Even though I hear it's like $80, it's amazing.
Definitely, it is ridiculously expensive.
You want to play it with the controller because again, you have to be so precise. And while the Joy-Cons and everything are good, it's sort of the same way I felt when I was playing Binding of Isaac. Although I wasn't really used to the Switch then. That like when you're moving it, like the Joy-Cons almost move a little bit on the sides of the Switch. Like they're stuck on there, but there's almost a little give to it. So like when you're doing really hardcore button presses, I mean, I don't know, but like, all right, you got to play it and let me know how you feel. But look, I think that wrapping it up with that that excellent little, like we lambasted a lot of people tonight. We roasted Billy Mitchell. We tore apart Bioshock. Like,
and we had a nice little retrospective on big box PC games too.
We had a really great retrospective on big box PC games. That was wonderful. So
we're
I think ending it on a high note.
We're coming up on an hour 45 right now.
Then that's great. I think we should wrap it up with that wonderful little like
tirade,
joyful review of Celeste, which truly is a game that absolutely everyone should buy and play. Like. All those guys, I mean, I swear to God, when the game ended, like, I can only imagine what the look on my face was like, because the people I was with looked at me and they were like, oh, are you, like, so sad that it ended? Like, and I was like, yeah, I am. Is it really that obvious? Like, I was, like, trying to keep it together, because not only the ending of the game was just so fucking fantastic, and I was so sad that the whole thing, I was so happy with the ending and so sad that it was over. It was just like so many emotions all at once. And you remember, this is coming from the dude who will just spam skip fucking dialogue and skip cutscene on everything. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We're talking about this beautiful story told mostly in snippets of like 3 or 4 lines of dialogue. Everything is so minimalist except the gameplay.
I mean,
even the gameplay is, I suppose.
Yeah. Shit. I have to admit, my attention started drifting right there because as you've been giving this, really glowing dissertation on Celeste, I've been thinking like, man, is there other like sort of pixel art style, retro throwback style games for Switch I want to get? And I know that there's one that's very similar to Zelda: Link to the Past. And I'm desperately Googling, trying to come up and find the name of the fucking game. And I'm shocked that I cannot do it. I can't find it. I've been looking for like the past like 10 minutes and I cannot fucking find it. I have no idea why. And it's making me
I feel like
insane.
I would have known about it.
Well, the thing is also that I suspect that it's a Switch game, but it might just be an indie PC game. So it's fucking...
Sounds more likely.
Oh, God. Well, fucking anyway. That's where we're going to leave it for today, boys and girls.
Wonderful.
If you've come back and you're still listening to us, we really, really appreciate each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
We promise it's not going to be 3 weeks before our next episode. We're going to be back at you next Thursday with some more fucking rants and some more fucking gaming related, sometimes not exactly gaming related fucking nonsense. But until next week, thank you for tuning in.